think Fargo North can beat Red River. I noticed young Mike McEnroe said when Tony Cherkowski asked him, I don't know if you were out of the area, what do you think? What do you like? He said Red River, because he said, I don't really think that Kurt Chafee could play as good 2 nights in a row, particularly as well as he played against us last night.
We'll find out in a little bit here.
Beautiful kids, beautiful kids. All right, I'll tell you what, while we're waiting, here come the Red River Riders out to warm up. The rivalry between East and West and North Dakota hockey has intensified greatly over the years. And as Roger Degerman reports, while the East holds a big edge, the West is sneaking up.
It's certainly no secret that the North Dakota hockey tournament has traditionally belonged to the Eastern teams. In fact, in the tournament's 25-year history, only one Western team has ever reached the state title game, that being Minot just 1 year ago. The West might be referred to as the Rodney Dangerfield of North Dakota hockey, but there are those from both sides of North Dakota who are giving the West more and more respect.
I think the West has made great strides in just 5 years that I've seen. I think the rivalry is still there, very intense, and the East sure doesn't like to lose to the West teams, but I think it's getting to the point where at least they'll admit that the Western teams are realizing they have hockey out there, and we've got some good players, and, you know, we've got some good clubs out there, and I think that they do realize that, and I think parity is coming closer, a lot closer all the time. I don't think if you went right down the line, we're there yet, but I think our good teams from the West play with the teams from the East match up very well.
Chuck Ness, head coach at a school where hockey and winning are synonymous, agrees with his counterpart.
I think that's great for the state of North Dakota. I think that as a result, that tournament is much better, the games are much better and much more exciting.
For the most part, however, the East still holds a significant edge in North Dakota hockey, but the strides of the West can hardly be ignored. It's only a matter of time before teams from the West begin engraving their school name on state championship trophies. For the KX Sports Network, I'm Roger Degerman.
Attaboy, Roger. That was really fun. And I think he's right. I think the West is catch. Am I on your cord?
Get on my cord, Jeff.
I think that's for sure. We'll be back with more coverage of the North Dakota State High School Hockey Tournament from Grand Forks in just a minute. Uh-oh. First mistake I made. Okay.
What is an IRA? An individual retirement account. It's as individual as you are, tailored specifically to fit your budget and to meet your individual needs for retirement. A worry-free time to look back and relax. With security in your future, a security that's accountable to you by your Valley Bank individual retirement account. An IRA is a secure future from Valley Bank, Grand Forks and Gilby.
You could win free Jazzercise classes from Hugo's and K-Light 104 FM. Jazzercise, the high-energy workout that combines the total body conditioning benefits of aerobics with the fun of dance. At Hugo's, we always have your health in mind with a wide variety of nutritious foods. 25 free passes given away each week. So register to win at any Hugo's location. Win Jazzercise from Hugo's and K-Light 104 FM because we have your health in mind.
What do you expect for 300 calories? For 300 calories? Beef, good news for people who eat.
KXJB Channel 4 Valley City, Fargo.
All right, teams are warming up down there, and we're going down to Tom Coyne with a special guest. Tom?
Well, as we get set to start the 1986 championship game between Red River and Fargo North, let's look back. It's kind of fun to look back. In 1961, a couple of gentlemen who played on the championship team way back in 1961. On my left, this is Dr. Don Munda, makes his home in Brainerd right now, and on my right, Dr. Marv Cooley, who makes his home here in Grand Forks. Fellas, first of all, let's look back at 1961. What was it like? Have things changed a lot?
I think they were playing a faster brand of hockey than we did. They seemed to be bigger as a whole team than we were.
How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think that we played a very good brand of hockey. I think as years have gone by, though, certainly the parity has become greater among the teams. When we were playing, there were only about 4 or 5 teams in the whole state of North Dakota, and most of our games were from Minnesota teams. So it's nice to see the caliber of hockey in North Dakota improving the way it has over the years.
Marv, do you still get a chance to follow a lot of hockey?
Well, not as much as I used to, but I still follow the Grand Forks teams.
How about you, Don? Do you see a lot of hockey?
Yeah, we're in Region 8 in Brainerd. We're following that quite closely.
Sure you are. How about tonight? If I can nail you guys down on this one, we've got a good one coming up here between Red River and Fargo North. You guys should be experts. Maybe it's been a few years, but what do you think?
I think Red River's going to take it by 2 goals.
Why?
Just watching them from last night, comparing the 2 games, I think they've got a little bit more manpower.
All right, let's switch over to Marv. What do you think? This is a Grand Forks guy. Are your loyalties there, too?
Yeah, I don't think I have to tell you who I'm for, but I think after watching Fargo North last night, I was very impressed. And I was impressed with Red River also. I think it's a toss-up. I hope Red River wins, but we'll see.
All right, it's been 25 years, and you guys still look to be in pretty good shape, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Okay, Jim?
All right, Tom. Good job. Those guys look pretty trim, don't they?
They do. They do. Tough kids, you know. Not kids anymore.
Yeah. Speaking of Grand Forks, the North Dakota High School Hockey Tournament kicks off a series of sporting events in Grand Forks. They'll be hosting now through June. Grand Forks is aggressively recruiting these events, and Susan McDonald reports they mean more money for the local economy.
Grand Forks is growing as a tournament town. Between now and June, the city will host 11 sporting events. This isn't just good for sports fans. It's also good for the local economy, because with each event, people come to town and spend money.
You always know the month of February during the hockey tournament, of course, your revenue is going to go up. Any type of sporting events, conventions, whatever you have, you're going to see your revenues go up when there are large sporting events like we have coming up.
The standard we usually go by is that each person, a visitor or a conventioneer, spend about $85 a day when they're in town. That counts, you know, what they pay for their room, what they pay for their meals and this and that. And that's an average figure. Sometimes it's less than that, sometimes it's more than that.
Multiply that average by the number of people in town times the number of days each is here, and you have a sizable direct dollar impact on the community. Quant also says research indicates that money moves through the economy 5 more times, so the total economic impact of a single event can run into the millions.
We had estimated back when we held the National Hockey Tournament in '83 that injected, that had a total economic impact of $3 million for the area. The swimming championships will be very near that.
The U.S. Swimming McDonald's West Junior Championships will be held for the first time in Grand Forks in April. Another first for the city will be the State High School Class A and B boys and girls track meet in May. Grand Forks is aggressively recruiting these events.
We have fine facilities in Grand Forks, and we thought when we have the new facility, why not try and get the activities?
One major event often leads to another, but the trick is to lure them back. Ford says that if visitors are treated right the first time, they'll come back again. Susan McDonald, KX4 News, Grand Forks.
All right, Susan, thank you. And I tell you what, the way these cities battle for tournaments, it's big business.
Yep.
Big business.
But until somebody gets another facility like this hockey tournament should stay here. You know, Minot has a good one, but I'll tell you what, they got everything's right here, and this is great to have it here.
Okay.
You know, I think the thing is Fargo, it'd be nice to have Fargo have it. They just spread it around a little bit.
Fargo does not have the facility. There's no question about that. Yep. So just rule Fargo out until they blow up that Coliseum. I didn't mean that, but, well, I have been in my career at Fargo, I did get very critical of the Coliseum. It was built in a hurry, and they made some mistakes. That I will say that Goose Johnson has done a lot of things, the park superintendent, to improve the facility.
Right.
But it's still a terrible place to play hockey. The rink is too small, the seating is not, and it's old and it's tired.
Well, it's seen a lot of miles, boy.
You bet. And it served its purpose.
That's right. It served its purpose very well. I mean, that thing saw a lot of miles when it first opened up.
All right. We're getting ready for this big battle here. But before we do that, in case you all came in late, we had a real wild game in that first one. And Mike McEnroe won it in overtime with a sensational play and a great goal. And let's look at it one more time. David?
Well, I think the goalie was screened a little bit, Brecky, because he takes it, he really lets her fly, and boy, that was a bullet. I think he caught him a little off guard. I didn't think he'd think it would be that accurate, and you know, that have that good a shot.
And the defenseman, Gerke, for Jamestown was right there, and there's the screen.
He was there, which he's supposed to be, but when he shoots like that, you either better block it or get the heck out of the way so your goalie can see it. It's one or the other, and he maybe, you know, he's tired though. It's been a long day and a long game.
What do you tell your defenseman on a play like that? Block it?
If you're going to get in the way of it, you better stop it.
Yeah.
If you're not going to, you know, if you're going to be in the way and block out the goaltender, you know, then you're doing it wrong.
Don't wait too long, and the shot's on its way, and then stand there, and then boom, you kind of move that way.
All right.
Now let's get to this game. Fargo North, it's the battle of goaltenders. We talked about this, it seemed like 4 hours ago. And that's when we were on Tom Coyne's sports show.
I think there's some things that you got to look at that are very, very interesting. You know, like talked about when Grand Forks Red River and Fargo North played in '82. You know, and you can look at that.
You had to bring that up again, didn't you?
Well, I mean, you got to look at something else. In the last 10 years, Grand Forks Red River has been in 4 state championship games. They've been the co-champ one time. The other times they lost 3 times. Now, Fargo North has been in there 4 times. They've won twice, they've lost twice. So, tradition rides that way. Another point, the goaltenders. In the last 5 years, the senior goaltender has been the goalie on the winning team in the state championship game. That says an awful lot. Now, you got to look at Fargo North being a little tired maybe. They've had some tough games. Grand Forks Red River has had not real easy games, but last night was not a real barn-burning game for them that tough. Fatigue could play a big factor. I think what you're going to see is that Fargo North is going to have to try to establish their skating style and skate with them. Grand Forks Red River is going to have to do the same thing they did to Jamestown and thump them.
How about physical part of it?
That's what I mean by take that body and let them go. You got to take that man out right now. Get in North's way. I'll tell you, the longer the game goes where North is in the game, the better off it is to North's advantage, because Red River could start thinking, geez, we haven't won a state championship in a while. What do we have to do to win this thing?
That's right.
And that's what I used my speech in '82. That was it. Stay in that game. The more we stay in it, the better off it's going to be.
How about quickness of the teams? How do you compare there, the speed?
I think they're both pretty close, but like I think what you're seeing, speed is more physical play, and conditioning is at the 3 days. Grand Forks Red River has had a little bit easier time. North had a 3-0 game with Minot, and then that tough game last night with Grand Forks Central.
I'm going to really stick you. How do you rate the coaches? Who do you give the edge to?
I think they're both very good coaches, just contrasting styles. When you look at Fargo North, Wayne Eklund plays a more passing control game. Jay Johnson is from the Grand Forks Central Chuck Ness mode, you know, where what do? You go out and take the man and play a physical game. So you have 2 contrasting styles, which makes a very interesting game, because you got this and you got that. You got Fargo against Grand Forks.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great rivalry.
You know, I'll say one thing. Jay Johnson is a class guy. Wayne Eklund came up here in this same tournament, right standing where you were last year, spilled his guts out. He had a lot of pressure from the parents last year. They didn't like him in Fargo North. He battled a tough fight for himself to get himself established and to start a program. Yeah, he followed big shoes. He followed you. No, wait a minute, let me finish. And he came to me and he said, you know, I'd like to go on television and just kind of tell everybody that I'm ready. I think I've learned a lot, and I want the parents to accept what I'm trying to do. You know, that parental pressure, you had it when you had championship teams with Fargo North. And I have a lot of respect for Wayne Eklund in that way, because he came up here and said, all right, here I am, folks.
Right. Well, I think
and look where he is now. I hope they're off his back.
Oh, I think you're making a very good point, because, you know, you can't come in. Look at Brad Buchel. What did he try to do when he went to University of Minnesota? He tried to imitate Herb Brooks, and it ended up costing him his job. You go out as a coach, you got to be comfortable with the style of play you want to play, and you establish that. And some kids might go, you know, hey, this is what we did before. Tough luck. That guy's gone. This is the way we're going to play it. And North has done that this year, and that's where they're going, because they're playing his style.
All right. Well, the teams right now are warming up, and we're going to have the ice resurfaced here very shortly. Then we'll have the introductions, and Red River will be in white, the home team. Fargo North will be in dark, and I'm looking for a very, very close checking and a tight game. If you had to pick a score, You think it's going to be about 3-1, 3-2?
Yeah, I think it's going to be something like that. Very, very low-scoring game because of the defense for both teams and the goaltenders for both teams. You know, it'll be interesting, the contrasting styles between the goaltenders. Chafee, a big kid, a flopper. You know, he does something one time, the next time he does the exact opposite.
Unorthodox.
Yeah, unorthodox is right. Good point. And Mike Blank, a stand-up goaltender, because he's so small, he can't go down an awful lot. So he just waits and waits and waits and makes that shooter take the shot and clean it. And it's going to be, I'm really fired up. This is a great game, Jim.
Yeah, and the point you made, there's local pride. Fargo against Grand Forks. Over the years, if you've been around here, it's the same old story. Bison versus Sioux. It's the city against city.
Yeah.
And we got the same thing here, so it should be fun. Okay, another little feature for you right now as we get ready for the teams to finish their warm-ups and then resurface the ice, get this championship going. Recently, a pond spiel was held in Bismarck to introduce people to the sport of curling. Paul Davis reports.
The Capital City Curling Club has abandoned their condemned warehouse on Front Avenue. Now they've got 4 playing surfaces in the just-about-finished all-seasons arena. They staged a fun spiel yesterday. The purpose of this little get-together? To enlighten Eastern knuckleheads like myself on the ins and outs of the sport. The game is played with 16 42-pound rocks of granite, sweep brooms, 4 players on a team, and 2 gigantic bullseyes called the house.
Curling is, in part, a little bit like shuffleboard on ice, and you play an end, which is similar to an inning in baseball, and in a given end, you try to get more of your rocks towards the center of the house than the other rink. For each rock that you have closer at the end of the end, you score 1 point. Sweeping will do 3 things. First of all, keep the ice in front of the rock clean. In case there was some straw or a hair off the brush, piece of dirt, it'll keep it clean. The other things it'll do, it'll keep the rock from slowing down. So if the rock is underthrown, for example, you can progress it further down the ice with sweeping. The other thing it'll do is if a shot is curling and you'd rather have it run straighter, sweeping will help that rock stay on a straight line rather than curl.
Curling originated in Scotland. It made its way to the USA years ago. It's played primarily in the northern tier states, all the way from Massachusetts to Washington. 100 or so belong to the Capital City Curling Club. No wonder. It's kind of neat.
We are waiting now for the Zamboni and the ice to be remade. So we can give you the championship game. It's going to be about another 10 minutes, I think. At
15
least.
minutes at least.
You think so?
Yeah, well, they got to resurface, and they're introducing the starting lineup. And
yeah, it'll be 15.
You bet.
It'll be 15 minutes. Of course, in case you missed it, the reason we're on a little late for the championship game is because of the overtime. As Grand Forks Central outlasted Jamestown 6-5 in a fantastic game. And you see now the Zamboni. Well, you know, you can see it right behind us. The Zamboni is resurfacing the ice. The University of North Dakota does a great job here. And we've talked so much about this facility over the years that it bears repeating a little bit. This is a great thing.
Without a doubt, the best arena on campus for a college team to play in. Without a doubt. Yep. You know, on campus rink, this is the best facility around.
There isn't a bad seat in the house. The temperature is always perfect. And they made provisions for television and radio. The press box is ample. And the lighting is great. What else can you say about it? Matter of fact, we saw Dr. Tom Clifford today, president of the University of North Dakota.
Great man.
He's a great fella. He's done a lot for this state, not for the university, and I congratulate him for taking steps forward. David and I, as a matter of fact, we're over at their athletic facility today trying to recruit, get our voices tuned up, and by taking a sauna. And first time I'd seen the new addition completed. That they have at the field house, Hislop Sports Center. Swimming pool is bigger than, it's Olympic size and then some.
Bigger than my leg.
All right, while we're waiting here, We have another feature story, unless you have something else that you want to order.
Talking about UND and this everything, I'll tell you, one thing I wanted to say is Gino Gasparini, what a story that is with that team this year. You got to give that program a lot of credit. And Gino Gasparini took some real shots this year when they were saying he can't do both jobs, and Burge Schloss was one of them, and a lot of other people besides him. And I'll tell you what, you got to admire the courage that he had, and he just said, the heck with it, I'm going to keep going with what we're going with. And next thing you know, now they're the hottest team in the nation. And here, big deal, they got beat by the Gophers, but in their last 12 games, they've lost 2.
Which brings up a point. Gino Gasparini, athletic director and coach. Gino told us the other night, the night after the banquet, we're sitting around talking. He said, you know, this team has sparked more enthusiasm than any of the last few teams I've had, which leads me to think that he's going to coach for another 5-6 years.
I think he's going to be around for a while.
Maybe that's too long. Maybe 3 years.
Yeah, I'd hate to say 5 years for him, but what I could say is that I'm sure he's got a different feeling and more of a vibrant behavior towards the game, because those kids just fired him up so much with their work ethic that they had, and they kept going and kept digging and kept digging, and look at where it got them.
Do we have any information on the game tonight between Minnesota and North Dakota? I haven't seen. Not yet. Okay. Well, the University of North Dakota Williston women's basketball program has enjoyed tremendous success through the years. Tony Trukowski takes a look at the team and its coach, Penny Slagle.
Junior college basketball in North Dakota. When you think about women's basketball in the state, the cream of the crop in coaching has to be Penny Slagle of the UND Williston Lady Tetons. Coach Slagle has taken her team to the national tournament 5 times and has won numerous state and conference titles. But the most enjoyment she gets from the game isn't from her one-loss record.
I'm really proud of the success the kids have had on the court, plus the success the kids have had just at our UND Williston program. And I know personally myself, I've developed a lot of close friendship with the kids, and these type of kids that we've had come through our program are very dedicated ball players. Their main concern is the basketball court and having success on the court and getting a good education, and we've been very fortunate to have these kids transfer on to Division I schools and Division II and III colleges and be very successful in those programs as well.
She's mild-mannered and quiet, and when it comes to her success, like any coach with class, she credits it not to herself, but to her ball players.
The accomplishments that I've had, being chosen Coach of the Year on the national level twice, has really been because of the kids and the quality of kids that we've had, and they've just played good enough basketball to get us through the state tournament, onto the regional, and then onto the national tournament as many years as we've been there.
But unlike many successful coaches, Penny Slagle has turned down numerous opportunities to move on to bigger and better things.
I really have no desire. I'm very fortunate at UND Williston to have the administration and the people and the entire school and the entire community back me and support me, and we still get I feel the best kids from the local area come to UND Williston and play, and I'm very satisfied with that. There's enough pressure coaching at the junior college level, and I really don't want to get into it at the higher level. I know they go through an awful lot, and I'm just satisfied with where I'm at.
Coach Slagle has been selected to work with the National Junior Olympic basketball team. Will we see the Alamo, North Dakota native at the '88 Olympic Games in Seoul, South Korea?
That's definitely got to be one of my goals, I guess. The more opportunities I can become involved with the ABA USA and the Olympic Committee, you know, I don't know if it's a reality, but I guess maybe it's a dream of mine to possibly work with the Olympic team in Korea in 1988.
Wherever she may be in 1988, Coach Penny Slagle is one of the best. Tony Trukowski for KX Network Sports.
Good boy, Tony. Say, we're supposed to vote for valuable players here.
Says in the title game. We got a couple of periods left, Jim. We can relax, sit back in our easy chair and wait.
That's always very difficult for me to do. Not wait, but pick a most valuable player.
Yeah, it is real tough to do. I agree totally.
Well, we're still
Jim,
minutes away.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. What is your pick on this one?
Well, I started when Kevin Fee called me at my home. I'd just gotten off the plane, had 2 teeth pulled, and was on my couch in Fargo, and the phone rang about 8 o'clock that night. It was Kevin Fee. Says, "Welcome to North Dakota. Who's going to win a tournament?" I said, wait a minute. I said, I have, believe it or not, Kevin, I've done some research, at the tune of about $5 in long-distance phone calls or more to a couple of friends of mine. And I went with Red River from what I heard. Then I talked to you, and you were kind of not 100% Red River, but you thought they had a good shot at it.
I thought they had a shot, and I thought Grand Forks Central had a shot, too.
I thought both Grand Forks teams, and I'd seen Chuck Ness's team before I quote, semi-retired, and I knew that he'd have them ready. So I figured, with the background, the feeder program, and everything else, I knew that Jamestown was hot. They come back with everybody, and except one kid, they lost that one good player, Strock or something like that.
Yep.
And so I figured they might be the dark horse. I didn't consider Fargo North or South at all. So look, and
just like you did in '82 and some of those other years. In '81, you did the same thing, I think. Well, you picked us in '81.
Yeah.
That's right. Excuse me.
I got that right.
Yep, you got that one right.
Predictions are all part of the game.
That's right. It makes it a lot of fun.
But on the basis of a hometown, goaltending, which is, I think they're both equal. Chafee and Plank.
You bet.
That's a push. Just the fact that it's Grand Forks and it's here in Red River's hungry.
Yeah, they haven't had one for a while. They want to break. Tell you, they've got such a black cloud hanging over their head in that championship game.
That's right.
That they want to break that so bad.
I don't want to say choke, but that's been mentioned.
Oh, yeah, it has. And you got to think that in some ways. And that's why it's very important in Red River's eyes to get not one goal lead, but a couple goal lead. And for Fargo North to stay in that game, make that game close the whole time, because Red River might start squeezing the old lumber out of the sticks after.
I don't have the last year Grafton won it. The year before, help me. Was it
Central?
Grand Forks Central. That's right. That's what Central had, that great team.
No, Central beat Grafton, excuse me.
Yeah, they had that great team.
Oh, outstanding team with Dave Hansen, you know, and some of the other outstanding players.
So it's been a year anyway, and Grand Forks used, as we've said, to dominate this tournament. So we're seconds away. Well, I'd say 5 minutes away from the start of this game. It'll start about 9 o'clock, I have the feeling.
Yep.
And that's when we're a half hour late.
You know, it's really tough, and I've been in both spots, championship game and consolation game, your third and fourth place. The hardest times for me is when you're in that third and fourth place game and you're sitting in that locker room, taking off your stuff, and not me, but the high school players are, and you're looking at your seniors, and they've been with you with the same group of kids from second grade all the way up, and they're taking off that jersey, and you know darn well they're never going to play a hockey game with about that whole group. It gets pretty misty in there sometimes when they pull off that jersey for the last time.
How about kids and crowds? High school kids, young, emotion, impressionable. Does the crowd have any effect, or they're out there, they just block it out? You think?
Well, I think what happens, you get used to it from playing the high school. You know, we get such good crowds here at the high school athletics in North Dakota, at the Fargo South and Grand Forks schools, and now Minot and everything else. I think it just gets you pumped up, boy. When you get the puck and you're going, or you make a big save and you hear that crowd going crazy, you just play above levels that you're even capable of playing at. And that's what's the great thing about athletics. And in this rink, the acoustics are perfect for playing a state high school championship
and
game.
I think we're going to have a full house here.
Oh, it'll be a great game.
I think there'll be 6,000, well, it doesn't hold quite 56,600 people in here to watch this game. All right, while we're waiting for the teams to make their appearance, I just want to remind the eastern half of the state that Falcon Crest will air following the game and the late news tonight. And from Minot, we have an interesting feature story on a unique gymnastics, which is coming to Minot in the middle of March. Our old friend Russ Smith explains.
At the Dome on the Minot State College campus, March 16th at 2 o'clock. This promises to be just an outstanding gymnastics exhibition. Steve Carver of the Magic City is the coordinator for this event. Hey, Steve, we have two of the greatest gymnasts in the world coming to Minot.
That's right, Russ. We have the privilege of bringing into the Magic City here Mitch Gaylord and Julianne McNamara, who were members of the 1984 Olympic teams for the United States of America.
Hey, Steve, we're also going to have a North Dakota flavor to this program, aren't we?
We're also going to incorporate within this show North Dakota's outstanding athletes, and one of them will be Natalie Bachmeyer, who is from Minot, presently training in Fargo, North Dakota, on her quest to make just the same Olympic team.
You're pretty high on this girl.
Oh, yes. Natalie is quite an individual. She's sacrificed a lot, and she's making great steps forward.
Steve, we have two of the world's outstanding gymnasts coming here to Minot.
Mitch Gaylord was a silver medalist and a bronze medalist. He was also a member of the gold medalist Olympic team. You'll see on some of the video that his performance is just picture perfect, and we look forward to an outstanding performance from him. Along with him will be, of course, Julianne McNamara, who was a member of the women's team. And Julie